Alright, for my noticing journal for this assignment, what I wanted to talk about was I was been reflecting a lot on my previous teaching at the last school I was at. I taught at Arlington High School, which is a suburb of Memphis, northeast middle class area. And while I was there, I helped run marching rehearsals and I ran the concert band for a whole semester. So we were thinking about or I've been thinking about recently in class, my classroom management and how specifically during rehearsal I could, make things work better. So something that we talked about in class and something that I like specifically is we're talking about how many times you repeat without giving specific feedback. I think it comes from the old notion of, oh, just do it again, let's, make it better. And that's something that a lot of people that I've noticed do. They say just to do it over and hope that the students have the intuition to say, oh, that wasn't good, do it again. But what I've noticed and what I've looked at with all the readings we've done is that students need to have specific feedback each time. Because sometimes students have got so much going on with them that they have no idea what was wrong with that. They say, okay, I got from point A to point B and played all the notes, but I don't see what I really did wrong. So something that I'm going to incorporate with my teaching, from this class on especially, is to give specific feedback with each repetition. Because though we would play more, without the specific feedback, I feel like we could get better quicker if I took the time to talk to people and say, this is what was incorrect. And moving on from that, something else that I deemed very ineffective in my rehearsals is that sometimes I would get called maybe 2 days before, say, hey, can you run the concert band on Wednesday? Or the symphonic band on Wednesday? I would say yes, and then I really would just show up and read this, do score study an hour before and just go for it. And while I was able to get some things done, I realized that not having clear-cut goals before you go teach is something that's it wasn't good for the students. Meaning the students didn't get the best available version of me, the best available lesson possible. So something that I'm planning on working on, and if I get teaching opportunities here before residency, is running out goals for each rehearsal that I am able to run. That way it keeps myself on pace, keeps me organized, and the students feel a more sense of structure. And a lot with this planning and feedback, I feel like it's the big thing is classroom management, and this is something that I've loved talking about in class. Classroom management for me is something that's very important and something that I worked with big times because, as you know, every band's got percussionists that just go to La La Land after 10 minutes of tuning. So I believe that when we set up our lesson plan, set up our rehearsals, that you've got to keep everyone in the picture, that way they stay engaged, or therefore you're going to have people just doing whatever they feel like. And also, the final thing I noticed is, and something that I incorporated before I got here, and something that I love talking about, is when you're giving feedback kind of almost like a compliment sandwich. I like to say with good, the bad, and the good, because I realized in my early teaching I had only get negative feedback, and while the feedback was needed, sometimes some students don't like being yelled at. Sometimes they get tired of hearing what was wrong and they forget about what they did was right. So I feel like you should monitor, the positive reinforcement versus the correction, and that way the students know that, fundamentally what they're doing is good, but there's still things to work on. So that's my last thought for this noticing journal. That's it. Awkward ending.